Thank you for joining us today on Earthfile. Welcome to the program. I'm Ayola Kasim. More than 3.5 trillion naira is lost in the agri sector annually to post-harvest losses in the country. Post-harvest losses is a worrisome situation that threatens the food security. In fruits and vegetables, it could be as high as 50 to 60% if poorly managed, and on average, 23.15% of fish quotes is lost daily. Unfortunately, not much attention is paid to address this problem as much as it is done for production. But a group is trying to change that, and that's our focus today on Earthfile. Do stay with us. Fresh catch for women crayfish sellers in Sagbo Koji, an island community just across the Lagos Port Complex in Apapa. Crayfish is usually prepared for consumption by smoking and occasionally preserved by sun drying. It is also a common delicacy in the diet among the people of the southern Nigeria and has a super healthy combination of nutrients, from its almost pure form of protein to its healthy amount of omega-3 fatty acids, which we now know are among the most beneficial fats we can eat. These women have about 4 hours to ensure this basket of crayfish doesn't go to waste.
We have quite a number of challenges in preserving fish or crayfish. When we buy fresh fish, we have nowhere to buy ice block nor anywhere to preserve them.
For 30 years, Juliet, who is also a grandma, has been selling fish here in Sagbo Koji. She makes about an hour journey on water to Ijora and back anytime she gets a supply and wants to keep it fresh.
Return journey from here to Ijora on the boat is about 3,000 naira. They may charge us 500 naira, 1,000 naira, or even 1,500 naira. It depends on the quantity.
The International Food Policy Research Institute says lack of cold storage accounts for 45% of food deterioration in developing countries, costing farmers over $470 million, or 25% of their annual income. In Nigeria, the Nigerian Stored Products Research Institute estimates that roughly 50% of food is lost in the country. There are huge post-harvest losses in the artisanal fisheries sector, as the small-scale farmers are not able to keep pace with harvest and preservation. Traditional methods of sun-drying and smoking remain popular, especially where the facilities supporting ice production are inaccessible due to poor electricity supply and the prohibitive cost of ice-making machines. In tropical environments such as Nigeria, fish spoils within 10 to 20 hours. Fish by nature is subject to rapid deterioration once outside water because of its chemical composition. The Brookings Institute estimates that less than 10% of all perishable foods is currently being refrigerated, despite the fact that post-harvest losses add up to 30% of food production worldwide.
We were able to identify certain communities that, okay, they had issues. They have produce, just like what happens in many of our farms as well. Farmers go to the farm, they have their produce, they harvest, but at the end of the day, in the process of transporting those farm produce, they get rotten, they get spoiled. So they lose a whole lot in the value chain. They lose money, they lose resources, they lose time, So it's very painful. So the same thing concerning community. In fact, this one is even a very special and interesting one because it's an island, community. So many people around don't even know, they are not even aware that they are there. But they are there, and they have been suffering in silence over the years.
There comes the Nigeria Energy Forum, whose focus is to maximize energy transition for economic growth in Nigeria and indeed Africa. The cold chain innovations around decentralized renewable energy are paramount in Africa and Asia, given that access to electricity in rural areas where food is produced is still a luxury.
Our fishermen go to the wild, they get the fish, They bring it back. And by the time they bring it back, there is no form of storage. And so you can imagine that by the time they get back from the wild, there's no way to keep these products that they brought back. They are forced to either work all through the night, or better still, just look for a way to sell it cheap just because they don't want it to get spoiled.
All that's changed for the people of the community with the launch of a green cold room.
This hub is basically formed by 2,500 watt solar panels, 2 by 5 kilowatts PV inverters, so we call them solar inverters, 4 by 5 kilowatt hour battery units, and this setup is of them powering 2 by 2 horsepower cold room engines that then drive the cooling activity in the green ice cold hub. This setup at its peak draws and converts the energy from the sun, translates that into electrical power that then essentially is transformed into cooling power for providing temperatures approaching -10 to -15 degrees Celsius to foster the preservation of seafood obtained by the community either through wild fishing or through aquaculture, and then also for sort of storing that fish in a sort of model that women can bring to store, retrieve it for processing to add value to those products, increasing its market value, and then ultimately exporting that out of this community.
Juliet has the honor of being the first to bring hers, and the process is seamless. Just like is expected of anyone bringing his or her goods to the cold room, she neatly packed the fish. It is then weighed, and a confirmation slip is given. She will need this slip to collect her pack whenever she comes for it, but she must ensure that the details on her slip is the same as the one on record.
Bí eléyìí ṣe wá sí, a máa rí àǹfààní jẹ inú ẹ̀. Ìdí tó ti jẹ́ pé mo ní a máa rí àǹfààní jẹ inú ẹ̀ ló jẹ́ pé.
There are times that when the fishermen come in late at night, then we are unable to go to Ijora. We will scramble for ice block during that night before we take it to Ijora.
Kó tó di àárọ̀ ká tó gbé lọ sí Ijora. Ṣùgbọ́n bí eléyìí ṣe wà, àǹfààní tá máa jẹ inú ẹ̀ sí. Tó bá jẹ́ àárọ̀ ló ń gbé ọjà wá.
The benefit of this cold hub is that there is no need to rush to Ijora before dawn.
Àní ṣe wàhálà gbọ́kọ̀ lọ sí Ijora mọ́. Ibi náà la máa gbé ẹja sínú ẹ̀. Àǹfààní gidi tá bá fẹ́ a máa jẹ inú ẹ̀ nìyẹn.
Giselle serves as what they call the police of the crayfish seller multipurpose cooperative in Sagbo-Koji. She's also one of the champions of the project, ensuring that the community has the land and commitment to ensure its success.
Wá síbẹ̀ lọ́jọ́ kan má pè mí. Ọmọ bó ṣe torí ẹ̀ ni pé bọ́n ṣe gbé wá yẹn ẹsẹ̀ mi ò tún ní wọ́n ibẹ̀ yẹn. Torí ẹ̀ ni pé kán wá tó bá tún máa fi ṣiṣẹ́ mo gbà mo sign pé a ṣiṣẹ́ lọ. Mo dẹ̀ ní àǹfààní tí mo lè máa fi máa polówó fún àwọn èèyàn pé kíní yìí dára ó ṣe gbá ó ṣàwo. Àǹfààní yẹn wà lára.
One of the things we've been able to do is we had to walk the community through the project step by step, to the point that we made them understand what each of the processes were and why we were doing the things we were doing. So even for me, if I close my eyes, I am sure that this community will hold it because they know the process. In the course of the construction, we didn't bring in people. We used the community people to do the construction work. So they know certain things that, yes, we still got the experts because we needed all of the experts to get it done. But in all of that, most of the work were done by community people, from welding to the bricklayers to those that supplied the materials. We sourced it locally. So it doesn't look so strange to them like, oh, they brought everything. We tried as much as possible to get them into this. And that if it's going to stand, it is going to stand because this is a sustainable project. And that is why we did not rely on something that would not be there. Currently, we have the issue of the fuel subsidy. It's made a whole lot of things go high. And then if we had relied on maybe powering it with a generator, you can be rest assured that we'll be looking at cost of production or the cost of maintaining it. But right now we're using solar. Solar would only require that we monitor all of this because it's quite sensitive. I need to mention that it took a lot to have worked the modalities for solar to power a cold room. This is a 5 kVA cold room. And then in all of this, we tried as much as possible to power it with about 10 kVA solar so that you have enough power to drive it. And even if there is such an overload, it can still carry all of the energy loss in the process of the engines working. So about its sustainability, it's a very sustainable project. And that's why the UNDP has supported us, because if it wasn't sustainable, I'm sure the UNDP would not support it.
When the proposal was brought to our office by the Nigerian Energy Forum, I mean, it sparked up interest in us because of the condition of the community at that time. It's a fishing community, meaning that they use charcoal, they use firewood to dry their fishes. And not only that, they were also running short on firewood and the charcoal. It was becoming so expensive, and so they could not even use it to preserve their produce again as they ought to. The important thing is the reception of the community. I am so thrilled with the way the community has, embraced the project, because it is one thing for you to seek to help them, it's another thing for them to embrace it. So now I'm so happy that we are addressing environmental issues, and we are addressing livelihood issues, and we are addressing health issues in this same community.
It is reported that each year, 1.6 billion tons of food worth more than $1 trillion are lost. And that's 1/3 of the total amount of food produced globally, according to the figures from the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. In sub-Saharan Africa, FAO estimates that 30 to 40% of total production is lost before it reaches the market, due to problems ranging from spillage to lack of proper post-harvest storage, processing, or transportation facilities. The waste negates much of the food and nutrition security benefits of investment to increase productivity. On the plus side, widespread adoption of mechanization, post-harvest technologies such as cold storage and other infrastructure investments have reduced downstream post-harvest losses to about 10%.
When they are able to process, to warehouse, to process and deliver it at the, on the value chain at the tail end to the, the end users, it makes them happier. They have more to take to the bank. They have more to train their children. They have more to live a better life. What's, even some of us in the urban centers are not, they enjoy peaceful and serene environment.
It has been reported that the health burden of foodborne illnesses is a major concern in developing countries. According to the World Health Organization, foodborne illnesses caused 420,000 deaths and 33 million disability-adjusted life years worldwide in 2010 alone, with Africa suffering the most. The cost of foodborne illnesses in Nigeria is estimated at $3.6 billion annually. If we can reduce post-harvest losses caused by loss of quality due to poor fish handling along the value chain, experts say we can improve not only consumption of healthy fish foods, but also reduce the cost of health care. A transition to off-grid, solar-powered cold storage systems can reduce food waste and make more food available for subsistence and sales, ensuring food security and economic development while minimizing the adverse effect of conventional fossil fuel-based agricultural value chains. For 5 years, the team at the Nigerian Energy Forum have worked on the project that hopes to serve coastal communities in Lagos. This one in Sagbo Koji will benefit about 25,000 people who live around here, helping them to improve their productivity while inspiring the next generation.
So the system is designed to host up to 50 crates or 60 crates. Mainly, I think that's about 15,000 tons. We can stack the crate up across the whole of the dimension of the space we've got there. And already the women communities have been saying they are nervous that this capacity may not even be enough, to support their business. And to be fair, we're talking about a solution for 20,000 or 30,000 persons living in this community. It's our hope that, when we demonstrate the utilization of this resource to its maximum capacity, this can ultimately inspire the next tranche and the next tranche of this installation across the community. But I think we're optimistic that we have a range of innovative operating models that we can use to also ensure that before that next project comes on, this does not create any community apathy. So, for example, the ice block can be, transported in a portable way from here to the other 9 communities surrounding here. And the more we can turn around the ice block, when it's fully produced, the ice block, if you can transport that to where it be used or take that to where it be used, you're freeing up additional space to produce more. And because it's renewable power, we're talking about a source of power, a source of producing this cooling solution that essentially is renewable. Every new day the sun shines, and that enables us to continue the production.
At the start of the project, the forum identified many communities, but only Sagbo Kogi showed willingness to move the project forward.
Let me tell you, we were able to identify 3 communities, and it may amaze you to know that we settled for only Sagbo Kogi because some of the communities that we identified that we are going to, give cold storage facility to warehouse their produce, they were demanding money from us. You may not believe it. In millions. They were telling them this is going to benefit the community. We are coming here to spend money, but they said, some of them were only interested in what it beats me hollow. But interestingly, the Sabukoji community they were so receptive. I was part of the very first trip, the fact-finding team to the place. Honestly, I will confess to you, because all we've seen in other places, we are kind of skeptical. Is it going to work? Is it going to be like the other places? Well, we got there, and the reception was very warm. They were very hospitable, very accommodating. I was it looks like something can happen here. And then we got to our partners, UNDP. They came around, of course, after because you have to do some due diligence, they came around, they supported us all the way. Even when there were snags along the line, they were there with us. And to the glory of God, today, you can see the smile on the faces of these people. You can see how they were dancing. One of them was shedding tears of joy that, wow, in our own lifetime, so this good thing can come to our community. And honestly, there were goose pimples all over me when I saw that.
The UNDP's Global Environment Facilities Small Grants Program provided the funds. The UNDP Small Grants Program had worked in over 200 communities, and they had supported them with more than 170 projects.
Why I'm happy is because the project concerns the main occupation of the community members, and especially women. Well, my experience with women is that anywhere you find yourself working with women, they are more, they embrace it more than other people, and then it gladdens my heart to see them support it. So because it affects the core of their livelihood, the core of their survival. Because if they don't maintain it, they go back to what they were complaining about. So I am sure that, and with the way they have organized themselves into a cooperative, I want to believe that it's going to be a sustainable project. And my intention is that if they can maintain it and they kind of earmark small funds from this, just save it, even if they don't have the entire money to put up something like this again. If anybody sees their seriousness, even me, if I see their seriousness, it's a thing we can raise up and get more of this for them.
For many, the problem is not just having the code hub, it is its maintenance and security they see as the major challenge.
In terms of security, we even had to use the community to secure it. Why? Because there is need for them to own it. There's need for them to understand that we don't want this thing to go bad. And that is why we have asked you to look at it, to secure it. In securing it, we'll rest assured that you will take it very dear to your heart, because it's something that is mine has a different way of looking at it than when I say, okay, just take care of this thing, you know nothing about it. They've been through the process. They know what we went through to get to this point. Even while we were doing the constructions, we had some challenges. We had to get some additional help from outside. So they know all of this. So they are not strange to how the whole thing is. So I think one of the ways to getting things done and getting it secure is to try as much as possible to get the community involved and let them know that this is theirs, not something being given to them, but that they own it. So when they own it, it will be easy to maintain and secure.
While the forum intends to provide the adequate support needed for the project, for now, the success of this effort is in the hands of the community leaders, and especially the women who need it most. In Nigeria, 45% of post-harvest output spoils due to the unavailability of cold storage, resulting in a 25% loss of income for the country's 93 million smallholder farmers. Cold stores reduce waste and also help to improve the negotiation power of smallholders in the market. By integrating decentralized renewable energy solutions to cold chain to support the development of a self-sustainable model of green cold chain, like this one in Sagbokoji, offers farmers practical and affordable solutions.
For us, part of what we are already reflecting on, for example, is this hub is powered by clean energy technologies. It also opens up a vista of opportunities. So, for example, we're already reflecting on clean transportation for the community, bringing electric vehicles that will charge from the excess sunshine and then be used to sort of transport the products from this hub to the different kitchens and processing centers for the women. So this is looking at even a transition, from the sort of maybe fossil fuel based canoes and boats that the community currently uses to all electric, mobility solutions. And that's all thanks to the fact that we have this infrastructure here that can provide excess clean energy that we can use to drive other productive activities in the community. Also, I think from our perspective, we are keen to use this initiative to drive research and innovation across the research institutions in the region. So the impact assessment from this project, we are confident will generate a significant knowledge base for the global community. I can actually, confirm that we've got a journal paper to be submitted to one of the very top level international journals from the lessons learned from this project, which is actually, currently in review. So that's expanding the knowledge far and wide.
Experts say if the United Nations goal of cutting food waste per capita by half by 2030 is to be achieved, these ideas have to be implemented. That's our show for the week. Thank you for watching. We hope to be back with you next week. But should you have any comment or question, our inbox earthfile@channelstv.com is available anytime and anywhere you may be. And you can watch this episode and any other episode of the program by simply checking our YouTube channel, youtube.com/channelsweb. Do click the playlist tab and then click Earthfile. From all of us here in Lagos, it's bye for now.